It's not just work hard. It's work hard and then look and give have someone that can give you feedback, observe your performance and elevate it, make it better, test things, change things. Like if you're not getting results for a given amount of time, you keep doing the same thing, we'll slow down and actually look at what you're doing and change your action.
Welcome to the Base Coat Brainiac podcast. My name is Austin Hauser. I'm Chief Brainiac over here at Base Coat Marketing. And if you own a painting business and you're listening in, you're in the right place. Now, I'm really excited about today's conversation. I have Ben Landusky here with Foothills Painting out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And we've had the pleasure of working with Ben and his team for over 15 months now. And Ben, I know you have an upcoming child on the way and a team to lead, so I know you're a busy man. So first of all, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here and add some value to our audience.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's do it, man. I want you to take me back in time. Just introduce anybody listening in to you, your company, maybe where you started at and how you got here today.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep it. It's 15 years in the making, so I'll try to keep it short. Did an internship, College Works Painting back in college, back when I was 18. Learned how to run. I didn't even really know the word entrepreneur back then. It was just like, I went to college to try to figure out how I could make a ton of money. I thought engineer, then I thought lawyer, and then it was like, oh, this thing called entrepreneur and like run a business. So learned a bunch, super thankful for that, internship in that organization. And then my now business partner, Eric Barstow, I had heard started Foothills Painting. And so once I heard he started that, I connected with him again. This is like 14 years ago, and said, "Hey, man, like, heard you're running a painting company. Let me run the marketing and sales. You run production." And I was still in college, and he had just graduated college, so it was kind of this like, let's do this to pay off student loans for me and for him to like kind of make money so he didn't have to get a real job and try to start other businesses, because we have multiple businesses now, and he's like a serial entrepreneur, and so that's how Foothills Painting kind of got started. There was no real intention to grow it to what it is now. But that's the origin of it. And I can kind of go, do you want me to go through kind of from there?
Yeah, let's dive in. Why don't you give everybody listening in a brief rundown of like where you guys are at today, revenue wise, team size, and then, take us back in time to kind of like the step-by-step process of like how you got to that point.
Yeah. So, we did just shy of 7 million in 2024 at Foothills. We have a team of, I think it's 18 now. We have 18 people, and we're doing really well this year. We're 25% ahead of target, so I think we'll do around 10 million this year. So going back to the past, as we grew Foothills, again, we weren't intending to, but it kept doubling in size. Like every year, like our first year, we did like 150K in revenue. Then it was like 350K. Then it was 650K. And then it was like 1.3 million year 4. And in year 4 is when I actually became part owner with Eric of Foothills. So I had just graduated college, and my thing was like, hey, like, love you, but I kind of want to have my own business. And he said, love you too. I don't want you going anywhere. Let's do this together. And so he gave me half the company, and the word was, okay, you're going to take 50% ownership, but I'm only going to work with you. And so I'm going to have all my, like for Eric, he got all his time back. And then I got half a company right out of college. So it was just like this awesome win-win. And then we joke, he actually made more money that year. By giving me half the company, he made more money than he did the year prior by a good amount, because I grew it, and he got like all his time back. He worked like 40 hours that year on Foothills as we went from 650 to 1.2. So anyway, that out of that unintentional kind of relationship and creation of Foothills, we then started National Painting Group. So kind of long story short, we Eric has a company called Painting Business Pro, which just really helps entrepreneurs start their own businesses to go from like, 0 to 2 or 3 million. Their own painting businesses, I should say. And we would have people connect with us there and say like, hey, this is all really great, but like, we want to partner. Can we partner with you all somehow? And so that plus Eric having a bunch of time on his hands, because I was running Foothills, equaled let's try to start other businesses across the country. So that's how NPG was born, and that was like about 7-8 years ago now. My timelines probably aren't exact, but that's how NPG was born. And now, so as it stands right now, we actually have 11 companies under the kind of National Painting Group umbrella, if you will, all across the country, which I can go into more. But yeah, there's
Yeah,
some.
and let's actually talk about National Painting Group for a minute because it's a fascinating concept. It's similar to like a franchise model, but not. And the interesting part about your NPG group is the fact that if I look through our data, which we're a very data-driven company, and I know you guys are as well, you are historically some of the top performing accounts that we manage, and it's consistent across the board. So what I want to know is, like, first of all, give me a breakdown of National Painting Group, who you like to work with, how you differ from the quote unquote franchise model. Just kind of like give
Yeah.
everyone listening a breakdown of this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, shout out to you and Baseco. Data is everything. And the amount of entrepreneurs we help at Painting Business Pro that don't know their numbers is pretty staggering. And just understanding your numbers actually has you make more money and actually has your business grow. Just knowing your numbers. You don't even take any action, just knowing your numbers. So that's why we really like working with you in Base Code, is because you all are very data driven, just like we are.
Love it.
So NPG, yeah. So we are not fans of the franchise model. I won't go into too much depth with that, but we see, and this is just my opinion, but there just seems to be a disconnect between the franchisor and the franchisee. You know, and this is a very generalization, but it seems like the franchisor wants revenue. They want to just drive revenue because they take right off the top, they take revenue. So they're not as interested in profit. Whereas the business owner, profit is their money, their income. And so the business owner, the franchisee, is focused on profit. So we just saw a fundamental misalignment with those two things. And so we did, before we started National Painting Group, we did seriously consider going franchise model, and we chose not to. So NPG, in short, is a partner model. And so we're a minority owner of their business. And so we're both aligned to the same thing, which is, revenue and profit, like building a healthy, scaling a business, but doing it in a healthy way. You asked me like what partners we're looking for. I could go into a lot of depth with that, but how we find the partners is mainly through like Painting Business Pro and just people connecting with us and saying, hey, this has been great. My business is at 1.52 million. I really want to scale and I'm kind of stuck. And then we just have a lot of conversations with them. Like it's not, there's no like sales process or system with our partners. It's like, let's hop on some Zooms, let's hop on some calls, and let's just see if our values are aligned to the same thing, if we're aligned to the same, future goals and all that.
Yeah.
So that's in short. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And the thing I really love about you do is you don't rebrand the partners that you work with, right? They're all independently owned. They still retain their own branding, but they are able to benefit from the core values, the training, and everything else that NPG is able to provide them with. And the one trait that I noticed, and I'd love your input here, if you guys actually look for this or not, is those that you work with, because we do work with several other entrepreneurs under the NPG umbrella, is they're all very motivated, driven, and they follow direction. Like, it is amazing how when we work with somebody under that group, they just go do what we ask them to do. And it's amazing how well that just impacts their results. How do you vet for that?
Yeah. Great question. Company or a culture of feedback is one thing we are very committed to. So we call ourselves feedback fiends. Like we're fiending for feedback all the time. And we look at feedback as, look, it's not personal. It's not an attack. It's like, I'm giving you feedback because I genuinely care about you. If I wasn't giving you feedback, that means I don't think you can do it. So I'm giving you, and I'm talking partner to partner, employer to employee. Like we're very much about, hey, we don't know all the answers. We mess up all the time, like all the time. Like I make mistakes daily. And so I'm always looking for, and our people are always looking for, how do we get better? How do we get better at everything we do? And then I'd say the last like couple years for sure, it's like, why would you hire on a company like Baseco and then not listen to what the experts are saying? It's like we hired y'all on. It's like, hey, we need content. It's like, okay, I'm going to get you content. It used to be like, I don't really feel like doing content and figure out some other way. And it's like, I mean, social media is a content machine, and that we know that's what is needed. So, but just going back to like working with a company like Basecode, it's like we're hiring you on, we're paying you money for you to tell us what to do. You're the experts. Get us the results. We'll do whatever you need. So I think like I really push that with our partners is we don't know everything. Like talk, do what the experts say, and like just give them the chance. Like do everything they're telling you to do for 6 months. Like let's just see what happens. And guess what? More times than not, like results come.
Yeah.
So
And like, if we're just looking at hard data, your cost of marketing last year was under 4%, like over $2 million in revenue. I mean, for a year one relationship with a marketing agency, that is really good numbers. And again, I think that just goes to lend hand to that continuous improvement process, right? Always be willing
yeah,
to understand that you're not the smartest guy in the room. And that's the same culture that we have here at Base Code. So I think we align very much in that regard.
we do. Yeah.
But enough about us. I want to talk more about
Yeah.
your background, some of the challenges you ran into early on. So talk to me about Foothills Painting, and maybe
Yeah.
some of those that are interested in scaling up to a $7 to $10 million painting company. What are the ceilings you have to go through? How do you start getting that momentum going into that multi-7-figure range?
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And yeah, like I said, it's taken us a lot longer. We're in year 14 now, maybe 15. So, and we're for Foothills, and we're committed that our other companies doesn't need to take that long to get to 10 million. I think, you know, 0 to 1.5 million, like you can, or even 0 to 2 million, especially depending on your job size, you can pretty much get there through like work ethic. You can pretty much get there like grind, work ethic, be good at sales, like all that, hire a couple good subcontractors and you can get there. When you're starting to build a team, when you need a team under you where you're not wearing all the hats anymore, that's where people, as we know, that's where people struggle the most, is how do you build a team and keep that team and not have turnover and have a team that really thrives. I think we've struck a good balance as far as the team goes with, one of our values is love and humanity. Like we really actually give a crap about our people. Like we really do. And by the way, that's not just because we're good people. It's because it makes a lot of business sense. And you know that, Austin. Like it makes business sense to make sure your sales rep, your project manager has a great life outside of work. Like the better life your employees have, the better they perform. So not only is it the right thing to do, even if it was just the right thing to do, you should do it, but it also just has you be more successful. And so we really hold on to that and really preach that. And at the same time, we still demand high performance. We demand that people perform at a high level, and we hold people accountable to that. And it's not an easy thing. It's challenging to have both those things, like high performance and also we love you. But that's the work to do if you're committed to scaling a business. Is you've got to be able to find and strike that balance between giving people feedback, holding them to a high standard, but doing it from a place of care and love and appreciation for them.
Yeah, that's a fine balance. So you spoke a lot about your team. Let's talk about team culture, what you guys look for, what's your team makeup look like today. Let's get in the weeds over there.
Yeah, so at Foothills, we have 7 sales reps. I should say 6 sales reps, 1 sales director, and then we're hiring on a 7th sales rep. And I just promoted my sales rep, who's been with me for 6 years, super awesome guy, Adam Dietz, and he's now our sales director. So that's the sales team. We have a business development manager, and she is primarily focused on B2B nurture. So nurturing relationships with roofers, property managers, real estate agents. That's a new, we just hired her last year. That's a new hire. So working on a lot of the kinks there, but that's starting to gain some traction. We have 2 office managers who set up all the appointments and manage the phone line. We have a marketing director, and Sydney St. John. I love her to death. She was head of office. And then last year I said, hey, I need support with marketing. And she said, okay. And she has a funny story where she like that night she like Googled what is marketing. Like had no idea. And Googled what is marketing. And now she's at the helm of running a $10 million marketing, $10 million painting company, like in the marketing mix of that company.
So
So
good.
so we have her as marketing director, and then we have six project managers. And what well, I'm sorry, again, one head of project management and then five project managers under him. Oh,
And
and then sorry, we have an employee painter, and he takes over the warranty department. Super awesome guy, one of the best painters I've ever seen in my life. He manages all our warranty work, and also does like specialty jobs and like kind of harder jobs that only he can do. So that's I think that's everybody.
and the
Yeah,
rest of your crews are all subs, correct?
yeah, 100% subs besides him.
Yeah. So, yeah, your team structure obviously for a $10 million painting company looks very different from the typical painting company, right? Not many people have a business development manager. So,
Yeah,
I'd love to dive more into the weeds on the commercial side as well. But let's just talk about your team, what you look for, right? So, I think a lot of people look at hiring and they're like, "Who do I need today?" I like to say I'm hiring for somebody that I need 18 months from now. What's your philosophy around hiring, the culture and the culture fit around your team?
yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, we say you've got to have a bigger vision, a bigger reason you're in business besides just make a bunch of money or not get a real job. I mean, those are fine to start with. I totally get it. We have a lot of people come from like corporate America that are just like so burned out, and they just Googled like how to start a business and they found Painting Business Pro. So like totally fine to start that way. But if you want to actually build something and scale it, you really do need a bigger vision. Like, what's your intention? Like you can run a $2 million business and make 300K, and like that's awesome. If you just want to do that, then you don't need to necessarily hire a big team. Like, you don't need to scale the business any further than that if that's your only intention. If you are looking to scale something like we are, you got to look at like why, because it just turns into money if you don't have a why. It turns
Yep.
into more money, more, and it's pretty. Again, in my opinion, it's very empty. So we have like we call it our blueprint, but this is from Jeff and Richard, the Mission B. I can get into that more later, but they're a couple of our mentors. But we have a blueprint, and it's a 20-page doctrine. It's like our own Declaration of Independence, with like what we're committed to, love and humanity, and just all the things that we actually care about. So anytime we're hiring someone or anytime we're making any business decision, we go there first. We're like, well, does this align with our blueprint? Does this align with the future we're building? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, then we don't do it. Or the blueprint is maybe missing something that we need to add. So I think like before you even hire somebody, create what you're actually doing in business. And because if it's just about money, then you're just going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time.
Finding your purpose, right? What gets you excited to get out of bed? I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? Because
Yeah.
how often, as a business owner, do you have the mental bandwidth and time to ask yourself the question, like, what do you want? I don't think many
Yeah.
people even consider asking themselves that question because it's like, I want more money, more time, sure. But like, what do you actually want? And that's a difficult question to answer for some. But you mentioned a blueprint, and let's talk a bit about that. That could be called a mission statement, a few things, right? How often do you guys amend that or update that based on, those that you're hiring and your overall
Mm-hmm.
company vision?
Yeah, so twice a year we do, and everyone in our company is invited. Twice a year we do a 3-hour Zoom meeting of proposals to update the blueprint, and it's pretty sweet. Actually, we did real quick. It's again Jeff Wilmore and Richard Condon are like they're the source of all this, but they have this talking stick technology where someone can propose a change to the blueprint, um, and at somebody else, and that person can either accept, deny, or counteroffer that change. So it could be just like one word, or it could be like a whole line. And then if that person accepts it, now that other person who just proposed that idea now has like the talking stick, and someone else has to propose it them. And if they deny it, then that's it. Like there's no. So the reason this really works is because there's no like arguing, there's no debating why this should be in there and this isn't. It's like it's two people at a time, and that's it. And so it works really well. By the time we built the blueprint, which took us like 3 months, and like I mean countless, I don't even know, probably like 20 individual hours times I think there was 12 people, so a lot of hours. But by the time it was done, you couldn't tell who wrote what bullet. It was all of us built it together. So it wasn't just like CEO top down, like me and Eric telling everybody, hey, this is the mission. Everybody's in, right? It's like, yeah, of course I'm in. You pay my bills. No, it was like we all built it together. So that was really powerful. But to answer your question, yeah, twice a year we go back to the blueprint and we we edit that and update it. And every day before a meeting, we're like, what's the intention of this meeting? And if the intention does not fulfill some aspect of the blueprint, then we seriously question, like, why are we having this meeting then? Because a lot of meetings are just not needed. This could be an email, or it just, there's so much stuff we do in business that's just inherited from the past. And it's just such a waste of time. So, I mean, we've reduced our meeting time, just for this example, by like 40% in the last 6 months. Cause it's just like, we don't need this. Like, we're good. We don't need this meeting anymore. So
I always say meetings are a crutch for a lack of people or processes, right? It's,
yeah,
I try to cut our weekly meetings down to 90 minutes on a Tuesday, and that's it. But we're still working on it.
yeah.
It's an ongoing evolution. So talk to me a little bit about your early days at Foothills, some of the challenges you ran into, because I think where you guys are at today is so far above. You're in the I would say the top 0.5% of the industry, right? And I think it's going to be difficult for most of the industry to relate to some of the challenges you guys may be facing today. So talk to me about maybe your early days at Foothill, or those that you work with under NPG, and some of the challenges they may run into, and how you guys help guide and coach them.
Yeah. So just made so many mistakes back in the day. Had a lot of turnover. I think, to get to even like 2.5, 3 million, is not just a walk in the park. Like, I mean, there's a lot of days where back pre-COVID, we were all door to door. So there'd be Saturday mornings I'd wake up at 6 and be like, I do not want to go. The last thing I want to do is knock on a door. But I mean, just the cliche of a lot of that is you just have to stick with it. Like, you just have to keep showing up as much as it sucks and it feels like you're making no progress. You have to keep showing up. But that's not the whole story. The other piece that people don't say, like, everyone says that one, it's like work ethic and work hard and just like keep showing up. The other piece of it though is I say you do need a coach or multiple coaches or mentors to point out where maybe the actions you're taking are not producing results. Like, there's people who work their butts off every single day and they aren't that successful as far as like from a money standpoint. So it's not just work hard, it's work hard and then look and give have someone that can give you feedback, observe your performance and elevate it, make it better, test things, change things. Like, if you're not getting results for a given amount of time, and you keep doing the same thing, we'll slow down and actually look at what you're doing and change your action, like change your behavior, and then test that for another couple months. And like, that's the other part is like, you do need I think you need some type of coach or mentor that can point out things that you just can't see because we're so in it,
Coaching, I could not agree more. I have everybody on our leadership team has their own individual coach. I have multiple coaches, whether it's a life coach, business coach, financial consultant, right? You need a third party to poke and prod and, be that contrarian in your life. And without that, to your point, you're too far in the thick of it. You need somebody looking over the battlefield at that 30,000 foot view while you're down there fighting the battle alongside of your team. I could not agree more. Everybody in business needs a coach at some level, in some degree.
Yeah.
So talk to me about some of the other challenges that you faced. To your point, I think we can all agree that the grind and that never ending, just showing up when it counts mindset is important. But what are some of the other specifics that you see a lot of common trends and traits in this particular industry?
Yeah. So I think at the level of like 0 to 2 or 3 million, let's say, number one, marketing is something that, it's just so critical to have a good marketing mix to start your SEO journey. Is, if you haven't already, like, start it right now, like pause the episode and start, just have someone get going on your SEO. But more than that, like, marketing is ever changing. It's like the hardest thing, shout out to you guys, basically, like any people in the marketing realm. I feel like you get no credit and you get all the blame. It's like, if things are going well, you don't hear anything. And if things aren't going well, you're the first person we all call. Yeah. So I think, like, this is a mistake I made back in the day, as I didn't understand marketing. It's basically just like hire more high school kids and get them knocking on more doors, and that was what I knew about marketing. And like because of COVID, I had to get really market savvy and start to learn all the different marketing streams, you know, out there. So I think like if you're listening to this and you're going from 0 to 3 million, like really take time to understand marketing, learn, have conversations with Chat GPT, like, really understand all the different marketing options, and understand that you can spend a lot of money in a hurry with marketing. So don't just go start like spending everywhere, but find a company like Baseco, like find people who've been doing this, and don't just like, again, this is what I see some of our partners used to do. They'd be like, okay, cool, hire a company like Baseco, and then just like hands off and like they'll just figure it out for me. It's like, no, no, no. Hire them and like actually learn. Yeah, like trust them. They're the experts. Like do what they say, but like learn from them and like ask questions and get smart about it. Because then you and them can grow together, and the results will just that much more increase. So a lot of people try to like push marketing aside and let some other company deal with it. It's like that's the biggest mistake you could make. Like
Yep.
learn marketing. Yeah.
Could not agree more. Marketing is a partnership. And more importantly, there's a handoff that needs to occur between marketing and sales, right? So that
Yeah.
we call it a never ending feedback loop. And the feedback loop between the sales and the marketing side is what allows you to really dial that in. Because if you think about it, marketing is an important component of every single company. I don't care what you do. You need marketing involved. You need sales involved. If you got a good marketing and sales pipeline, the rest of your business becomes pretty easy to scale.
Right.
Unfortunately, in this industry, it's not consistent, right? It's a seasonal industry, which is why most marketing strategies fail.
Yeah.
But the important point that you brought up there is your organic presence. And actually, I wanted to just talk through numbers for anybody listening in, just to kind of provide an example of how important SEO and organic can be. Last year, we generated over 2,100 leads for Foothills, and 1,600 of those came from organic sources. Those are unpaid channels. So when we're looking at volume, it's very, very easy to scale a business when you're not paying for each individual lead. So yeah, could not agree more on that front. Again, data should help guide those type of decisions.
And then, yeah, exactly. Know your data, understand marketing. Then I know if you're at 1 million or so and you don't have a team, you're wearing a lot of hats. That being said, speed to lead, like it just has to be number one priority. I get it if you're in an estimate, you can't call a lead right away. I get it if you're at a job site and you're walking around with a homeowner, you can't call the lead that came in. But you've got to create a balance. And I'm not saying like work, 200 hours a week, but you do got to find a balance where you can call leads as quickly as humanly possible that they come in. And if that means doing one or two less estimates a week so that you have like call times, especially at the beginning of the week, then you really do need to do that. Because if you get an organic lead and you don't call them until like a day later, it's way harder to convert, but also it hurts your sales. Like if you're the third person to call somebody, like they might get an estimate from you, but like you're last on the list. Like people, I think it's the Harvard, whatever. It's like 70% of the time people buy from the first person that contacted them. So again, this is such a pitfall because people are like, I don't feel like calling leads. And I get conversion is, annoying, and you call some leads and they're like, I didn't sign up for this. And like, I get all of that, but it's like if you're interested in scaling a business and making a lot of money, you've got to have a structure in your life where speed to lead is top 3 priority on the priority list.
Could not agree more. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about ceilings, because you guys have smashed through several. And I know Eric Barstow talks about different ceilings at different revenue ranges. But based on scaling Foothills to what's going to be a 8-figure company this year, what are some of the ceilings that you have personally hit, and how have you overcome those?
Oh man, good question. Yeah, a lot of things. I think the first one around like that 3 to 4 million mark, where you as the business owner stop actually doing a lot in the business. Like you stop doing sales, production, and office management. I think that transition for business owners is tough, because it's like you get really good at sales and production and setting up estimates, but that's a whole different skill set compared to managing and teaching that. And so that's one we really help our partners with, is how to transition from the doer to the kind of empowerer and like the coach to your team. So that's tough. Turnover does happen. It took us a long time to get. I mean, we have almost no turnover at our company anymore, but that's only been the case for like 5-6 years. I mean, the first 7-8 years was tough with that. We did have a lot of turnover. Like we weren't great. We didn't always hire on the right people. Like there was a lot of that because we weren't focused on what I was saying earlier of like, um, you know, have a coach, like have someone that can observe your performance, or just have a business partner or your significant other. Like just get other opinions and stop. Don't try to do it alone. Solopreneuring is not a fun road
No.
at all. Does that answer your question? Sorry, I kind of.
Yeah,
That was
no.
one of the.
So
Yeah.
I think where I'm trying to get at with that question is a lot of guys will look at a company like yours, again, 7 to 10 million, and can't even imagine climbing that mountain, right? They don't know where to start.
Mhm.
And those that are grinding and in that phase right now, let's say of about 2.5 to 5 million, and are looking to break through to that next level, it can seem like a daunting challenge when everything they're doing, they just continue to spin their wheels. They're not getting that traction they're after, right? How long did it take you to smash through that, let's say $3 to $4 million ceiling? And what did it look like on the other side of that? Did you recognize that you were on the other side of it? Did it feel good? Like, talk somebody through who might be listening in that sub $3 to $4 million ceiling, how you got through
Yeah.
it, what it felt like on the other side.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it never feels good. Because as soon as we get to this spot, we've already moved the goalpost. I mean,
Exactly.
if like I'm sure you're the same way. It's like as entrepreneurs, we just demand so much of ourselves. Or it's like as soon as we hit 6 million a couple of years ago, it wasn't even that. And this is something I'm really working on. It wasn't even that cool. It wasn't even. We didn't slow down and acknowledge it because the sites were already on 10 million. And so when you just pause and look back at like where you're at compared to where you wanted to get to is like, holy crap. So one thing we're all practicing at NPG is slowing down, smelling the roses, journaling, like being outside in nature literally every single day. And like, just like chill out. Like you've done a really good job. Like things are really good. Like it's time to, you don't need to sit there and bask in the glory, but like do it a little bit. Like do it 1% of the time, please, for all of us.
Celebrate those wins, man.
Yeah. Um, I would say so. To answer your question, I mean, it took us probably like 2 or 3 full years. Like when we stalled out, I think it was like we stalled out around like 3.2, and then we did like 3.3 the next year, and then it was like 3.35. I think the year after that. So I think it was like three. I could be wrong. I think it was like 3 years where we kind of hovered around that level. And a couple of things changed. One is what I talked about earlier. We created a real future about like for our company. Like we really all sat down and did the first cut at the blueprint. We didn't call it that at the time, but at our own future. Like what are we all really doing? Like what are we doing here at Foothills? So that was big, just to create a real intention besides just like grow more. And then with that, we a lot of people, we ended up letting go of a few people, and a lot of people, or a couple other people, also like just quit. So I think we kind of got trued up to what we were really aligned to, and there were some people that just weren't, no fault of theirs or ours. It just wasn't a good fit, and so that was a growing pain where we did kind of. It felt like a step back at the time to lose. I think it was like 30% of our like team, but it was a huge it was just more of a slingshot forward because like got the wrong people off the boat, hired on people that really were aligned to what we were building. And again, that was because we didn't have clarity of it's not like we got clarity and we found the right people. And so that really had to start to scale more that way. So I think that was a big piece. And then also I go back to like the marketing. We got a lot more serious about marketing because we got really good at like scaling internally. We got good at hiring and managing. We are very good at that, but we were still lacking with marketing. So we started to have these like kind of, quote unquote fat teams where we had these like kind of overstaffed almost teams, and the marketing wasn't consistent with that. So Hunter and I, one of my other business partners, he owns Elkhorn Painting, and he's the CEO of National Painting Group. Him and I got like really serious about we've got to get really good at marketing, find people like you, Austin, like find people who are doing this the right way, and start to really elevate our performance at marketing. So I think that's another pitfall that when you're at that 3 million, like people don't look at enough.
So good. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, and you may not have an answer for this. I'd be interested to get your input here. You're in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I know you guys venture down into Denver as well, but overall population size, you're not necessarily in the largest market. when you're evaluating to bring on others under the NPG umbrella, do you take into account market size as a potential ceiling or scaling factor? So, for instance, if you own a painting company, and let's say that there might be 250,000 residents in that region, you may only be able to grow a painting company to a certain size before you max out that local market, right? What does that look like? Have you guys taken that into account?
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's something we look at, but we've never not joined a company because they're not in a big enough market. It just because you know, I don't know. There's not like there's so much work out there. I'll just
Yeah.
start with that. There's just so much. I mean, from what we can tell from like the paint care numbers, there's like some new numbers out there, and just from our Sherwin people, and just kind of reverse engineering the math. There's probably like 3 billion a year of paint work done in Colorado. We're going to do 10 million. Like that's not even is that even 1%? I mean, it's just not even close to the actual market size. We have a company in Nebraska, Omaha, and that's not the biggest area, but like we still know we can grow a 20-30 million dollar painting company there. So yeah, we look at it. Like obviously if you're in some rural part, of Kansas, maybe isn't the best to run a painting company there, but for the most part, we haven't run into anything like that.
Yeah, so that's the answer I was looking for. For those listening in, look at your market size. Yeah, you may have to stretch a little further to reach more audience in a smaller market. You may have more competition. Likely, the competition might not be as stiff as in some of these larger markets. But bear in mind, Ben here is in arguably what's the top 3 most competitive markets in the U.S. So if they're able to do it, you can do it too. So fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So Ben, you mentioned B2B. I do want to touch on this because where we see in the residential market, one of the biggest challenges is the seasonality of the industry and just the overall volatility. Right. So if there's any market conditions, if there's any uncertainty, homeowners are going to be the first ones to start tightening up their wallets. We saw the opposite during COVID, right? So B2B commercial work tends to help stabilize a lot of that uncertainty. What does that look like on your end? What percentage of the business does it make up for you guys? And what does the future look like on that side of your business?
Yeah. So another great question. I always say that there's two mistakes. There's hundreds of mistakes, thousands, but our two biggest mistakes we made at Foothills. And if I were to go back and do it all over again, I would fix these two mistakes. One is the client experience. Like we were so focused on just like driving sales and like marketing, just like getting the check, and not on blowing people away and creating raving fans. And now it's like, so, I mean, we have a really good retention rate now, but if we were doing that the last 15 years, I can't imagine where our company would be. So like, if you're listening to this, do not settle for subpar subcontractors. Do not settle for average performance. Like you've got to focus on like blowing people away. Like you just got to do that. So that's number one. And then number two is what the question you just asked me. Focusing on relationships with trade partners. So property managers, real estate agents, roofers, especially if you're in a hail focus, if in an area that gets a lot of hail, facility managers, home inspectors. And the reason why is if you just think about like one residential homeowner, and I love our homeowners, but like one residential homeowner is going to give you one job every 5 years, hopefully. One property manager could give you like 7 jobs this year, 20 jobs this year. And so like the avatar, just like your lifetime value of your client is so much more with a B2B relationship. So again, if there's two things, the second thing is we would go back and really focus on those relationships and really building out our relationships with trade partners like that.
Yeah, we call those exponential relationships. One contact, multiple projects into the future, right? What are some of the challenges you've run into on the B2B side? So obviously, longer buying cycle. You typically have to front some of that work, right? But what are the types of avatars you like to look for? And again, some of the challenges that you may face on that side.
Yeah, so this is good. This is actually more recent for us because we just hired that business development last year, like I told you, and so we're learning a lot around the B2B space. One is like it unfortunately just takes time. Like it just does. It does just take time. Like Scott Lawler, who owns consulting for contractors, I think it is. he's a friend of ours, and he said, look, you got to hire a business development rep, and then not measure their results for a year, like 1 year. You got to just pay them a salary and don't measure their results for a year. That doesn't mean make sure they're obviously taking action, but as far as revenue and generating business, like don't worry about that for a year, which is tough. It's tough for us, especially when we like residential. It's like you book a job and it's right there. So I think one thing is just you got to trust it, and it just does take time. Two is like you just got to go do the old fashioned like walking in like face to face stuff. Like where we've had the most results is where we just go into a property maybe we do a phone call first to make sure it's okay when you come in. Although we don't always do that. Sometimes we just walk in with some donuts and business cards, and like just that face to face, just like, how's it going? We want to be your painter for life. We know it's going to take time to earn your business. How can we start? Like there is no script for it. It's just like a very honest, we want to be your go-to for everything. We have a great product, but I know we got to earn your trust on that. How do we earn your trust? And just that good old fashioned walking in and doing that, and then just nurturing and continuing to show up for them. Like they just need that time to show that you're not going to, every single property manager has been burned by at least one contractor. So they do not trust you. Not that they don't trust you, they don't trust us. Like they don't trust the look. They don't trust that a painter is going to show up on time. So anyway, sorry, Austin, just to sum that up, face-to-face outreach and like actually just, knocking the doors, and then just consistency with nurture and showing up for people. Like that's A and B right there.
Yeah, you nailed it. It takes time, right? And I think where a lot of people give up on the B2Bs, they get 3-6 months into it and they're like, this isn't working. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
But it is a huge opportunity out there, right? So anybody listening in, if you've not dabbled in the B2B market, go start today. There's no reason not to.
I'll just add to real quick with B2B. So commercial painting, that's like a massive word. Like there's so much in commercial painting. What's the easiest, like the most the most residential, most paint adjacent thing to residential painting is multifamily repaint. So if you're going to get more into commercial, like start there, and new construction is a whole different, it's like a different business.
Yeah.
Plus the margins are arguably not there. So start with multifamily repaint. I mean, and if you could even just focus on exterior multifamily repaint, just to start to get ahead of the game with that. That's where you should start, I guess, if you're just getting into B2B.
Love it. Yeah. Yep. So good. So let's talk a little bit about how you've acquired 486 reviews on Google. That alone, I believe, is what's given you guys so much tailwind on the organic side, right? You have a foundation to stand on top of, built by a reputation. Now, obviously, time plays a role there, but that was intentional. So talk to me a little bit about how you guys have built up that reputation and, kind of what your process looks like around that.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't always that way. Like we could have way more than that if we would have actually focused on client experience the last 15 years. So like we have a company we're in talks with right now to partner with an NPG, and he, in his first year, he already has 200 5-star reviews. I mean, he's getting a review almost every single job he produces. So, but I'll say, like, people always want like, hey, how do you get reviews? Like, what's the process, or how do you get referrals, and like, what's your system? And we've tried everything. Like we've tried to incentivize with cash. We've tried it helps our painters out. Like we've tried it all. And for better or worse, the answer is do a phenomenal job with the service and product, because we do have two things. We have a service, and that's from like they request an estimate from you all the way to the last brush stroke. So like the whole process, the whole customer journey has to be awesome. And then the final end product like has to look immaculate, or very, 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 very good. So I think like there is no short answer. It's like, do not, like I said earlier, don't tolerate low performance from painters. And that doesn't mean like be a tyrant and not give people space to be human. Like they will make mistakes, but if a subcontractor does 1 or 2 jobs for you and it's just not up to your standard, then you just can't work with them anymore. At the same time, if it's not up to your standard and then they improve on the next one, great, give them another one. If they improve on the next one, great, give them another one. But yeah, focus on like that customers just have an incredible experience with you. And when they come outside, they're like, this looks freaking awesome. That's how you get the most reviews. That's how you get the most referrals. And then, yeah, you can ask at the end, hey, by the way, it just helps us out a ton. 5-star reviews are everything. So like, do you mind leaving us a review? People who are blown away have much more, not all of them will still. So don't look for 100%, but, if they're blown away, they will leave you a review. If they're like, yeah, that was pretty good, and then they say they're going to give you a review, less than half the time will they actually give you a review. So
That's exactly right. Yeah.
yeah.
So for those listening in, if you notice, there's no shortcut in business or in life, right? There's a lot of little things you do that add up to a big thing. And this is a perfect example of that. So you mentioned your product, though. There is one thing that I see a common issue with in this industry, and that is finding good subs. How do you guys find your subs? How do you make sure that they're up to your standards?
Yeah, good old fashioned Craigslist is where we start. Indeed, a little. We've actually had some success on Indeed as of late, but still mostly Craigslist. But then also, so we have like our core subcontractors who've been with us for a long time. And then but you don't need to have that. You can find a really great one and then ask them like, hey, do you know other, like, most chances are they know another crew that like wants to work with someone like you. If you pay them on time and you're someone who's nice to partner with, then like they will have other people most likely that they can refer to you. That's one, is like just good old fashioned, like, hey, you're awesome. Love us working and partnering together. Cause by the way, a subcontractor agreement, it's not like you're over them. It's a partnership and you should relate to it like that. But if it's a good partnership, they should have other people that might want to come and join you instead of working for some of the other big names. Right. So that's one way. Now, the other way is helping these subcontractors actually build out their business. So one of our best subs has 6 crews underneath him. And, Paul Schroeder, my business partner at Foothills, he's head of production. He really has helped that subcontractor build a good business, like where, he can make great money, but also still hold the standard and quality with all 6 of his crews. So like, now I know that takes time and it's not your job to help them build their company, but I mean, if you can help a guy go from like painting 1 job a week to 2 jobs a week, you just doubled your efficiency with that 1 crew. And that's still only 1 person to manage as opposed to 2. So I think like that's the other piece that people kind of miss is like, hey, you could help them scale their businesses. Now quality always has to be on the forefront of that, but like that's another way you can actually scale with your good subcontractors that you already have.
Treat them like your team. I say the same thing every time, man.
Yeah.
It's, if you help them with things like their finances, understanding how margins work, right? The basics of a business that you as a business owner should already know. And if you don't, go learn that and then train your subs. They won't leave you as a result. And they're typically willing to work a little harder as a result, right?
Exactly. And then the last thing I'll say is our standards are very high. We basically have tier 1 and tier 2. And we have definitions on all that. I won't go into the details of that, but we only work with tier 1 subs. If they're a tier 2 sub, then they're basically like in a probationary period. And I'm not telling them all this, but this is just like our internal structure. If they're in tier 2, that means they're new or they did a job that wasn't quite up to par with what we want. So we're giving them 1 more chance. And that's it. Like there is no lower than that. Like it's either they're working up to a tier 1 or they are a tier 1. So we just high standard we hold for our subs for sure.
Amazing. So now, again, for everybody listening in here, it's very clear that we could have spent 4 to 5 hours talking about one of these topics, right? So this is very surface level here. But Ben, I do want to first understand, what are your goals for the next 5 years? Like Foothills Painting, you guys have come a long way in the last 15 years. Where do you guys want that to be in the next 5?
Foothills itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not attached. I used to be attached to a number like 50 million. I think one painting company can do 50 million, in especially in the big markets. But I'm not as attached to that anymore. Foothills Painting and Elkhorn Painting are kind of our 2 model companies to show all the other NPG companies like, hey, here's how to do it, and also here's how not to do it. So with Foothills, like I just want to grow a bit. I'm very much removed. Like I don't really run Foothills anymore. I have 3. We call it the 3-headed monsters, Sydney, Paul, and Adam, and they're running the show. Like they're the ones that are ahead of targets. Like they're doing all the work. Like I'm very much removed from that. So with Foothills, like I just want to run an awesome business, and really I want other businesses to just copy what we're doing. and start to take care of contractors the way we do, start to take care of employees the way we do, clients the way we do, their community, and even the environment. Like we plant 7,000 trees a year to help offset our carbon footprint. So like, I want other companies, not just in painting, but like across the community to start saying, hey, that company's having a lot of success. Like, what are they doing? And it's like, hey, check it out. Here's what we're doing. There's no secrets. We're just like being really good to everybody and taking care of everybody. And as a business owner, you can actually win doing that. So I'm more committed that like that philosophy of business gets out there than anything. Like I don't, yeah, money's, all that stuff is good and that'll come with it. But like more of that philosophy is what I'm really committed to.
I could not agree more. And for those who might be struggling at the, let's say, $1 to $2 million mark, and they hear you set a goal of, let's say, $50 million plus loving what you do and not working so hard, that can seem impossible, right? That's almost inspirational in a way. So if somebody listening was interested in learning more about NPG, Painting Business Pro, like how they might be able to get involved in that whole process, what does that look like?
Sure. Yeah. If I could just say one other thing quick, Austin.
Yeah.
So just for everyone if you're at 1 or 2 million and you do have a goal of 30 or 40 or 50 million or just as big as you possibly can get it. This is Jeff Wilmore, my coach, like this beats this into us. Work ethic, you have to have work ethic. Like if you're lazy, then that's a problem. So like, yeah, you have to have work ethic, but like most people listening to this call have work ethic. If that's the only tool though in your tool bag, then you cannot scale because you only have so many hours in the day. So you've got to learn, like at my level, at the level of like really when you get to like 3 million and you're running a team, you've got to learn how to not just have good work ethic. You've got to learn how to be more, have more humility and vulnerability with your team. You've got to learn how to give people feedback and make it so that it lands as an opportunity for them and not as an insult. Like you got to learn how to manage your time. I mean, you look at guys like Jeff Bezos is like the obvious example. He's had the same amount of hours as we do, and yet his hourly rate is like probably $1 million an hour where we're at, whatever we're at. So it's like, there's more to it than just work ethic. There's a lot more to it than just work ethic. So stop grinding so hard and start to get smarter with how you work. Just gotta say that.
Yeah, dude, it's so important, man. It's when we look at the hard skills and the soft skills, I like to say it's 90% mindset, 10% skill set. You need to be able to lead by influencing others. And that's not easy to do when you get to the point of working through others and not just with your own time. That takes training, right? So yeah, talk to me about NPG and how you might be able to help some others who are stuck in that ceiling and looking to break through.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Right now we're not currently taking on new partners, but we probably will be towards the end of this year, like probably Q4 of 2025. We'll be kind of sending out the offer that we are looking for new partners. So, but right now we're not. If you want to learn more, you can just contact me. You can contact paintingbusinesspro.com and chat with Eric Barstow there. We're mainly partnering with people that are over $1 million in revenue and that are kind of in that space. This is where our sweet spot is really helping you go from you're the doer of everything, you're the operator versus like you're now the person running the team. So I think that's where we help people the most, and that's kind of our sweet spot, that $1 to $2 million range for partners. So
good. And for those listening in, Eric Barstow, in my opinion, is the OG coach before coaching was cool. He's got some YouTube videos out there from like 10 years ago, before YouTube was even like really on the map on Google. So could not recommend that enough. If you guys were hitting a ceiling and struggling, go check them out. Now, Ben, as a last thought, I always like to ask, for those who might be stuck at that current ceiling today, whatever that looks like, based on your experience and your capabilities of scaling a painting company to 8 figures, what is one thing that you could maybe scream from the rooftops that you wish everybody in that position could hear that might benefit their personal life or professional life?
One thing, huh?
One thing.
Man, that's a tough one. I think I wish I would have enjoyed the process more. I think like if I would have slowed down and actually like really just enjoyed what I'm doing and not have been in such a grind mode, I think I'd actually be further along in business. It's so, we say life is short, so it's such a cliche now, but like it really is. Like it's so short. Like you mentioned, you have a 9 and 6-year-old, like I'm about to have my first kid, and it's like everybody I talk to is like the kids grow up in a blink of an eye, and it's like why are we working so hard when we're going to be dead like pretty soon, like relatively soon, unless we can like download our consciousness onto a computer, maybe that happens. But short of that, we're going to be dead like relatively soon. I mean, no one remembers like the Rome, like we know the Romans existed, but we don't know like the name of like Mike the Roman. Like we don't remember that person. So it's like, just have a little less significance and attachment to life. Like just enjoy your life right now. Cause like, yeah, we could all get smoked tomorrow by something. So I think that's what I wish I would have done more of. And something I'm actively doing every day is like, just freaking enjoying the process. Like I love working hard, but I also just love just like enjoying the process. Like today's the only day, So I guess that's what I'd yell from the rooftop.
Yeah, everybody needs to hear that and digest that. I call it writing a story because a journey indicates that there's an end. Which, yes, nobody's making out of this life alive, right? We're all going to end at some point here, but you need to write your story. What's that story going to be like, and more importantly, who's going to remember what that story is, right? Your kids are, and do you want your kids to remember you as somebody that worked for other people your entire life, or somebody that was a good parent and showed up every day, right?
That's right.
And to your point, man, let's say that you dropped the ball in business and you're stressed out about your team or, a mistake you made. You know who's going to remember that a year from now? Probably nobody, including the person that you dropped the ball on, right? So don't be so serious about life. Have fun, enjoy that story, and write it to make a story that you enjoy writing, right?
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
So good. Yep. Ben, thank you again for taking the time out of your day today. I really do appreciate this, and I hope everybody else listening in found some value here.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. Take care, man.
Cheers. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that chat as much as I did. Now, listen, if you guys are hungry for more conversations like this, go swing by our website. It's basecoatmarketing.com/podcast. And finally, we are very open to feedback. So if we haven't covered a topic or there's someone you want us to chat with, please let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next conversation for painters.